These are some of the 25,000 people who have run, walked, or bicycled across the Pell Bridge in Newport over the past 8 years, helping to raise more than $1 million for nonprofit organizations. They are participating in events created in 2011 by the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority, whose executive director, Buddy Croft, says they have become immensely popular.
To get up at the towers and taking selfies and getting up on those magnificent structures, something that it's a sight to behold.
For the first 5 years, the authority, with the help of a paid events manager, staged the races, giving upwards of $100,000 each year to dozens of local charities. That caught the attention of Nancy Howard of Portsmouth, a retired federal contracting officer who started looking into the Turnpike and Bridge Authority when lawmakers began considering a proposal to toll the Saconnet River Bridge. Her review of the authority led her to what is now 3 annual charitable events that make use of the Jamestown-Verrazano, Newport Pell, Saconnet River, and Mount Hope bridges.
I don't think that a quasi-state agency whose mission is to maintain bridges should be operating a foundation. They just shouldn't do that. That's not it's not under their purview.
Howard questioned how an authority could double as a charitable entity, giving money to nonprofit organizations without forming a foundation to do it.
When you started asking these questions, what was their reaction to that?
Basically, it was like, what's the problem? Why do you care? What does it matter if we have a race and donate the money to charity? And again, that's not the problem. The problem is, should you be operating a charity, and are you using the money appropriately?
Howard said she believes it was her questions and prompting that led the authority to create a separate nonprofit foundation in 2016, which now oversees the races, filing tax forms with the IRS. The foundation still uses Gray Matter Marketing as the events manager at a cost of $3,000 per month, plus a 25% commission on most of the corporate sponsorships the company can secure. In a wide-ranging interview at the authority's headquarters in Jamestown last month, Croft defended the authority and the foundation.
There are no toll dollars, no toll revenue dollars, or are there any gas tax dollars that go out to the organizations? All of the expenses are paid for from the events themselves, from either registration fees and/or sponsorships. And then when we give to the organizations afterwards, all of that, again, I stress, involves no toll dollars, no toll revenue, no gas tax dollars. It all comes from the events themselves.
But Howard said the line between the authority and the foundation is not well defined, noting that the authority's legal firm helped set up the foundation. The nonprofit's annual 990 tax form is reviewed by authority accountants with no reimbursement from the nonprofit, and Turnpike and Bridge Authority vehicles are used to help on event days. The event is also promoted on the authority's agency-funded website. And for 5 years before creating a foundation, the authority itself distributed hundreds of thousands of dollars to dozens of entities with no specific criteria. So why no foundation?
We initially looked at the foundation back in 2011, when we had our initial race. And we looked at it then and didn't think it was something that we needed to go to at that point in time. We wanted to see if these caught on, if they became popular events. As they grew in popularity, we thought it might make some sense to look at forming the foundation.
Howard notes that the grants are heavily weighted toward organizations in the Newport and Jamestown area.
We're supporting the community. But why aren't you supporting the community in Providence, who may also go across the bridge every day? So and someone is picking and choosing. Someone's making the decisions that we want to donate to the fireworks and we want to donate to arts and culture in Newport. So that was, And in Jamestown, too. There was a few agencies they donated to over there. I guess they're just currying favor, or they want people to not be as upset when they're doing construction every single day on the bridges.
What about the people who would say, well, it's pretty heavily weighted just because you're here in Jamestown? Why should those organizations get it as opposed to others across the state?
Jim, it's not a perfect science in selecting. We do the best we very can as a foundation board. I would say that a lot of the organizations that receive money from other parts of the state, they serve clients down here also, but we are sensitive to the local communities to some extent.
How do you decide who gets?
We have you can online, you apply online for the nonprofits. We will ask them such things as, what's your annual budget? Give us a financial snapshot. What are you going to do with the dollars? Things of that nature. We'll ask them if they can volunteer for the event. This last year, we had about 58 organizations that applied to us, and I believe 37 were funded. We do the best we can. We look at the local communities. We give them the benefit of the doubt. We also look at some of the organizations we look at, challenged, people that have challenges, disadvantaged, people that have health challenges. We'll look at some organizations like that, and then the board will make a decision as to who will get funded, and sometime after the first of the year we mail out checks.
The most popular event and the biggest money maker is the Pell Bridge Run, now in its 8th year. On a raw, rainy Sunday in October, more than 3,000 entrants braved 20-knot winds to make the 4.2-mile trek from Jamestown to downtown Newport. The race took in more than $200,000 in registrations and sponsorships, but it also cost $83,000 to run. The Pell Bridge event was so popular the first 2 years, the authority created the Four Bridges Ride in 2013, giving bicyclists the rare opportunity to ride over the bridges in Jamestown, Newport, the Sakonnet River Bridge, and the Mount Hope Bridge, finishing in Bristol after 26 miles. Last year saw the creation of a third event, the Mount Hope 5K. But that and the bridge ride do not make as much money. Altogether, expenses ate up about 50% of the $300,000 plus raised from the 3 events this year.
I don't think this is being appropriately audited. Like, the Turnpike Authority has to have their books audited, but this information is not audited by anyone.
Croft said after our interview that the foundation is considering some changes.
We asked our auditors to look at the 990s to make sure that it was something that passed muster. They did look at the 990s. There is not a...
Auditors for the authority.
That's right. There is not a separate audit. That's one of the things that we're contemplating as we grow as a foundation. That's one of the things we're contemplating.
He also said the foundation will consider expanding its board to include public members. Right now, it consists of the authority's chairman, another member, the authority's legal counsel, and Croft.
There will always be on that foundation board, I do believe there'll always be members from the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority because of the close cooperation that we have with the event manager that runs the race. When we do these races, Jim, as you well know, we keep the bridges open. There's a lot of logistics that go into that, a lot of safety issues. So to that end, these bridges are magnificent structures, but they're complicated structures.
Some people would say your job is to maintain bridges. Why are you in the charity business?
I think that we have, Jim, done a very good job maintaining the bridges, and we have never, ever, ever lost sight of our charge to maintain the bridges. In 2011, when a decision was made to go to these, we thought it was a good idea, and we maintain that. We've done that in a wholesome process, and we think it's a good thing.
In Jamestown, Jim Hummel for the Hummel Report.